Hi, Pastor John Sypert here from Preston, Highlands Baptist Church for Wednesdays in the Word on Wednesday, August 26th. What we've been doing on Wednesdays in the Word for a few weeks now is talking about what the Baptist Faith and Message, our doctrinal statement, says about marriage and the family. We've really also been looking at Ephesians 5 in particular and what that passage says about the roles of husbands and wives. So a few weeks ago, we talked about what it says to husbands, and then the week after that, I talked to several husbands about their role as a husband. And then this past Wednesday, we talked about the role of the wife in marriage. And now today, as you can tell, I'm going to be talking about the role of the wife in marriage with some wives from our church, from Preston Highlands. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. If they don't mind, just husband's name, how long y'all have been married, kids, if you have any kids, what you do with your time during the day, and then something fun about your husband that the world needs to know that we don't know already. So y'all got all that? Hopefully? Okay, I'm going to let any of y'all just jump in there and take it away.
Okay, I'll go first. My name is Karen Lane. My husband's name is Bill. We've been married 37 years. We have 6 kids. I'm a bookkeeper for Paul Mitchell. I handle account payable. Something fun about Bill, he loves VW bugs. I'm sure he'd love to have a large collection, but we don't have room in the garage, so he just looks at them online.
So does he have a VW bug?
Nope, he
Has
did.
He ever had one?
Yeah, when he was like 18, maybe that was his first or second car, and he just loved it. It was a lot of fun. I think it got stolen, and I'm sure he'd love to have another one. But, I said, would you like one for a daily driver? He's like, no way, no air conditioning. So I think maybe a collection.
He's kind of a tall guy too, so getting in and out of those little things.
I would love to see that. I don't know how in the world he compacts himself to get in and out. Yeah.
So y'all been married how many years?
37.
37 years and 6 children, and how many grandchildren?
Well, we have 4 and 1 on the way, so 5.
Okay, great. Thanks for being with us today, Karen. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, who wants to go next? Susie, you're muted.
I was saying Rachel could go.
Oh.
Okay. I'm Rachel Fudina. I'm married to Tanaka, and we have one daughter, Nashe, who is 9 months old, and we've been married for a year and 8 months, I think. And I stay at home with Nashe. I usually film day with picking up after her. And the thing that the world needs to know about Tanaka, I have no idea. I don't know what the world doesn't know about Tanaka, but what I thought was funny that he loves to watch like the 10-minute version of Friends on YouTube. Like he's seen all of Friends, just like the 10-minute version of each episode on YouTube.
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yeah, and we did not find it, but yeah.
Good to know
you
that
could get
about
like full episode without, all the added stuff, I guess.
So he knows enough about Friends to be dangerous, though he hasn't seen everything.
Yeah, I don't know if he's seen everyone, but he knows a lot about Friends.
Cool. Good to know. Good to know that about you, Tanaka, if you're watching. All right. Last but not least, Susie.
My name is Susie Sypert, and I'm married to wherever he's on your screen, this guy. We've been married for 12, going on 13 years. Is that right?
I don't know.
I'm bad at remembering this stuff.
Is that right?
I barely remember how old I am most days. And I forgot one thing. What do I do with my day? Most of
Do
the
we have
time-
any kids?
A few. We have 3. A 7, 4, and in 5 days, a 1-year-old. So she's over here, and I'm going to have to just keep an eye on her.
And are the kids at home with you right now?
Yes, 2 are with the sitter, AKA the television. And then Lydia's over here playing with my car keys. And so if you
Great.
see me like jump and run, it's because I did something with her.
Do what you got to
and-
do.
Yeah, and so most days my time is spent, taking care of them, providing for them food and playtime and fun things like that. And then I work from home, my own business, selling shampoo. And so I spend some time of my day doing that and talking to people and whatnot. And yeah, cooking dinner and grocery shopping, just all the things that everybody has to do in this life, She's down here smiling at me. Oh, something about John that you may not know. I need to
Should
demonstrate.
have reserved this question just for Rachel and Karen. But
Is that if he ever is shopping for books, that he will actually smell them.
true
When he
story.
gets a new book or something in the mail or anywhere at the library, he'll just you'll catch him smelling the
Books have very distinct smells.
He's like, smell this one. And I'm like, that is so weird. So,
There's
but
nothing better. There's no better smell in the world than book smell, except brown sugar.
I haven't found that scented candle yet for you, babe. Book smell.
That's David Leaders. David, if you're watching this, scented candle, book smell, go. All right, Susie, Rachel, Karen, thank you for being here. Again, thank you for doing this. Let's jump right in. I want to read a short passage or a short part of a passage that we've looked at over the last few weeks. It's the Ephesians 5 passage. I can't stress this enough. Like, if you're a husband or if you're a wife, you want to know what you're supposed to be doing in your marriage, Ephesians 5, 22 through 33 is the text. It's the place in the New Testament where God, through the Apostle Paul, kind of outlines what husbands and wives are supposed to look like in their marriages. In general, all right, not a lot of specifics, but in general. So it talks about, he talks about wives and then husbands. I'm going to read the part about wives. In Ephesians 5, 22 through 24, he says, wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and is himself its Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands. Because this is such a popular topic and fun to talk about, I thought we'd just jump right into this idea of submission. And ask, in what ways, ladies, do you practically, tangibly, do you try to do this in your relationship with your husband? What does this look like? This whole submitting your life as the church submits to Christ, submitting your life to your husband. What does that look like in your relationship?
I'll go. So let's face it, at the end of the day, someone needs to bear the responsibility of making the final decision. So in our family, that person is Bill. I'll always give him my opinion, as well as the negative consequences of each of his decisions. Then I'll leave it in his hands and pray for him and hope in God. And I don't really think about it that much. I just let it go and move on. Because whether the consequences are good or bad, it's all on his shoulders. And it's just kind of what I've learned through the years. And plus the fact that Bill is really good to me, and he's kind, and he serves me, and I trust him. He's made good, wise decisions in the past. And so I trust that he'll make good decisions in the future. So he's built trust. So
That's awesome. It's cool how you said, it's really, he's in God's hands, and he'll have to talk to God even one day. It's interesting that in the Garden of Eden, after sin happened, God comes asking for who? Not Eve, Adam. And Eve, even though Eve was the first one to eat and then passed off to Adam, God comes to talk to Adam, because Adam, as this text says, is the head of the wife. Therefore, he's responsible. He's responsible. No matter what happened, he's responsible, and God wants to talk to him. So I think that's important for us as husbands to bear in mind as we make decisions, that we will talk to God one day about these things. Thanks, Karen. Susie, Rachel, y'all want to jump in here?
I can. Some ways that I submit to my husband, I think is what the question was, are kind of in the same way as Karen. Just I'm fresh in this, so learning to listen to what he has to say, and to also know that I can voice my opinions in that, and then trying to be joyful and seek God in the ultimate decision that He's for our family. And I think that's one thing that I want to work on a lot, is trying to be joyful in what the outcome comes to be, because sometimes I think it can be hard to, if you have a strong feeling the other way or whatever. So we're still learning a lot about that, but thankfully Tanaka just cares so much about our family, and he really takes the initiative to pray, and to even bring things up that even I may not want to talk about at the moment. And so yeah, it's really encouraging to just know that he cares so much, and I can trust that I can submit to what he thinks. So.
That's great. And thanks for sharing that. Susie, would you like to talk about, this is kind of weird, by the way, because Susie's kind of married to me and everything, but
So I can't lie.
But here she is.
Or I can and then put John in an awkward position.
Honesty is always preferred.
No, yeah. Not so much lying, but each spouse has a different recollection of events sometimes. It's like, you think this, I remember this, and they remember that. Who's true? We don't know. Yeah, I struggled with this a lot. I know John didn't notice that at all in our marriage, but I struggled a lot with just this idea of submission. And part of it is because, when you get married, you're both kind of brand new. You don't know what you're doing. And you're like, you want me to trust this person, like with my entire life. Like, I've been taking care of my life, or my parents, I've been making my decisions. And now you want me to trust this person who is very much a work in progress. And that just was terrifying. And I realized over time that the Lord was saying, no, I want you to trust me, not John. You're not trusting John, you're trusting the Lord. So when you are submitting to your husband, you're actually entrusting yourself to the Lord, and entrusting that the Lord is leading him and guiding him, right? And if you're trying to hold on tightly to that control, it's just going to create more problems. And so I noticed the times when, I would entrust a decision to John, even though I knew, like, I think as women, we know we can manipulate our husbands. We can get what we want out of them through manipulation. And that's not a healthy thing, right? That's not submission. And so it's very humbling to say, no, I'm going to just share my opinion, my thoughts, and my feelings. And then if we disagree, I'm going to let him make the ultimate decision. And like you said, Karen, then it's on him. If things go bad and I said we should have done this, then I'm just going to sit there quietly, and he's probably going to be looking at me saying, go ahead and say it. I know you want to say it. I'm like, nope, I don't need to say it. I don't need to say anything, But for example, one way that I did this recently was with buying a house. And I really wanted to buy a house in 2018, and all the signs and environment and everything. And I was just like, I think we should, and I really want to. And I was kind of impatient. And John just did a good job of very gently leading us and saying we should wait. And it was a very hard moment for me because it meant waiting a whole nother year. But I did, and I said, okay, you know, it's your call, and then we'll just see what happens. And it turned out really well for us, and it was actually the wise and right thing to do. And as you submit to your husband more and entrust him more, and you see good outcomes, you know, most of the time, at least for me, it gives you that confidence to do that more. And then you have a freedom and you have a peace, and that relationship just starts kind of working, right? The team partnership starts really gelling because you're both doing the things you're called to do. He's leading, you're submitting, and you both feel heard and taken care of and cared for. And so then it just becomes you just become a really great unit through that.
That's a good word. I think that's key, that this is like a circle, you know, as husbands lead well, their wives want to follow well. And as wives follow well, then husbands want to lead well. It's, you know, it's both and that's why Paul addresses both here, husbands and wives. It really is a team. But as Karen, you said, you know, somebody at the end of the day, if a kind of decision has to be made, you know, there should be some clear lines of structure, you know, in that. And man, I can't emphasize the team thing enough. Susie and I don't do anything, any major thing, even really most minor things, without talking through it extensively, praying about it, seeking godly counsel from other people. So really, we make most decisions together, as I'm sure you guys do. It doesn't even feel like Susie has to, quote unquote, submit to me a lot. But what I love about you, Susie, is just the posture of deference that I talked about in last week's Wednesdays in the Word, just kind of a willingness to defer to my judgment if needed. And man, the more she does that, the more I want to go out of my way to make sure that whatever we do is good for Susie. And I've fully considered all of her thoughts and feelings. So guys, thanks for venturing into this really tricky subject and hard to talk about subject. And let's be honest, very unpopular subject, even in the church today. Thanks for venturing in. Yeah, jump in.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I was also going to say, what I noticed too in submission is that when I do submit to your leadership, it leads me to pray more, because I'm like, dear God, please don't let this be the wrong thing.
Don't let John screw this
like,
up.
Please let this work out. Have mercy on me. No, but because you're trusting the Lord. And then the other thing is that there have been times when John and I did really kind of disagree, right? And he was wanting to go away. I didn't want a decision or whatever through option A or B, and I didn't want that. And I kind of felt more strongly about it. And in those moments, because they are so rare, John really listens more, because he's like, Susie, you know, typically it's like, hey, yeah, you know, we talk about things, he hears me. And then I'm like, whatever you think. So if there are moments where I'm like, I really don't think that is the good option, then he kind of it has a lot more weight to it, because it's not every decision. No, I think this, and you don't, your thoughts are not good. You know what I mean? Like it just carries a lot more weight with it in those moments.
Good word. All right, let's move on to another question. And I appreciate just y'all's vulnerability in this already, but let me ask another kind of question to maybe allow you to be more vulnerable. What has been some of the biggest challenges or struggles you've had as a wife? Doesn't have to be current. Maybe it was something earlier. Maybe it is current, but just a challenge or a struggle as a wife that you've seen the Lord's faithfulness in, and maybe even the Lord resolve. Y'all want to speak to challenges or struggles?
Go. I think me as Nashe is only 8 months, 9 months old. Nothing really prepared for postpartum and things like that, but I think that has really been a challenge in the last years, learning how to deal with that, but at the same time know how to talk about it and things like that. And so just having a baby pretty early in marriage, so didn't even know how to be a wife, and then being a mom and a wife. So that's definitely a challenge for me and for us. But also, one thing that kind of catches me up sometimes is remembering to put Christ first, no matter what. So sometimes I find myself just wanting to do what will make Aka happy, and that really just makes me backtrack. Like I'm putting Christ first then, and it kind of messes both up. And so I think like the hardest and most important thing is just knowing how to and learning how to put Christ first in every situation, and remembering that prayer, covering everything in prayer, is very much needed. So those are a couple of challenges that I faced.
Amen. I just had a random thought. Maybe, the Lord calls husbands to be spiritual leaders for a number of reasons, but like when postpartum stuff happens and our wives, they need someone to just like lead them beside quiet waters, right? And help them lay down in green pastures and just point them back to the goodness and faithfulness of the Lord through the roller coaster of postpartum stuff. And it's different for every situation. But, this is perhaps one of the reasons why God calls husbands to shepherd their wives. Not in just that season, but in every season, but perhaps especially that season.
Mm-hmm.
Karen, Susie, y'all want to, Rachel, anything, other struggles, challenges that you face as a wife?
I think my biggest challenge was raising 6 kids. Bill worked.
Lord bless you.
I did not work outside of the home for money.
But you work nonetheless.
24/7. And for us, I think, I want to say this the right way, but having children is really stressful on a marriage, or at least it was on ours. I was raised different than him, and we see things differently. I'm a linear thinker, he is not. And our backgrounds are totally different. I mean, we just approach life very differently. And it was just tough. I mean, really tough. And plus the fact that I've been sick for about 20 years. I have a chronic illness. So on top of, the stresses of motherhood, trying to be a good wife, I didn't feel good at all for a long time. I'm just now starting to feel better. So, that was our struggle. I mean, I feel like our life is a walk in the park now, even though some weeks I work close to 60 hours. It's a walk in the park compared to what I've been through. So that gives you any comparison.
Yeah. And just to hear you talk about, thank you for being honest about that. You weren't just a wife and mother of 6, but you were also ill, Karen. And just to see how you didn't use that as a card to say, oh, no. I can't be a mom because I'm not feeling well. Man, that's so encouraging. That makes me want to be a better husband and father when I'm sick. I'm a terrible sick person. When I get
It's
Susie will
hard.
tell you, when I have a headache, I'm like, everybody get out of here, leave me alone, you know.
You can't do that as a mom. You
No.
just have to push through and try not to cry in front of the kids.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait to meet your children one day.
Oh,
If they're as great as you and Bill, then they're probably good people.
you're sweet.
Susanna, I'm sure you haven't had any challenges or struggles.
It's hard to pick one. I think I just will go with what's more present in the moment, you know, because as life ebbs and flows, your struggles ebb and flow too. And there's probably two that kind of come around cyclically and sometimes stay for a bit. And that's a struggle with kind of always this idea of failure, right? Like you're not a good enough mom, you're not a good pastor's wife, you're not a good wife, you're not a good daughter, like just all the categories that you are pinged for. It's just like F on all of those, you know, like fail. And and so that's a big struggle, but something that I have just had a lot more growth and freedom in lately, like, you know, what I define as success in those categories, and, you know, whether I care if my house is clean or not, like, does that matter, you know, and those kinds of things, and not seeing those things as being what I look to for success and affirmation if I'm doing things well. That's a big struggle for a lot of women. We see other people's lives, but we just see the good things. You know, we see when we come over and the house has been picked up, and we see the pictures on social media, and we see a few seconds. We don't see the hours in between when it looks nothing like that. But we all think, oh, they're doing so much better than me. And why can they do it and I can't? You know, what's wrong with me? And so that's a big struggle, just having the mindset of having to fight those the lies from Satan, to be honest, because that's what Satan does, is he comes with accusations and condemnation and gets into your mind so that he can get into your heart and condemn you. And then the other struggle is just sometimes with identity, like especially I think with stay-at-home moms, like you're a mom and you're a wife, I'm a pastor's wife, and kind of feeling like my identity is always attached to someone else, and like kind of wanting my own, not that I love these identities. I want to have, Karen, I want to be in the 6 club, have 6 kids, like, let's do it. I love being a mother. I love being a wife and pastor's wife. I would never want those things to change in my life. But then there's also a part of me that says, I want there to be something about me that's just me, right? And trying to find that without sacrificing these other things that are very important to me, and finding the way to balance those all together, you know. And that's kind of probably, those two things are kind of the journeys I'm on right now, like at this level of parenting and marriage and everything. I'm exploring that and growing in that, in those things.
Yeah, Susie, I felt the same way. And I've learned that for me, the word balance means maybe all of my marbles are filled up in one jar for this season of life, and very few are in this jar. And for me in this season, that is balance. It doesn't mean I have the same amount of marbles in each jar. And I felt very overlooked. I just wondered who I was. And I got to tell you, it wasn't until the kids, pretty much the last one was in high school, and I was working, you know, away from home. Now I work at home and it's a lot easier, but I was working away from home. and was basically that parent that was not involved because I was sick and working and I couldn't. But it was during that time that I started figuring out who I was. So you may have to put that on hold a little bit, but that's okay. It's balanced. As long as your kids are well and fed and clothed and safe at the end of the day, I think you're doing a great job.
Amen. Amen. Well,
Thank you, Karen.
the gospel comes in here and tells all of us that our identity is not in what we do, well, regardless of what it is. Our identity is in Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ says we are his. We're pure, spotless, righteous, adopted children of God. No matter whether we have 6 kids or no kids, married, single, old, young, whatever, in Christ, we are his. And that identity is what gets us through all this other stuff, right? Being a mom, being a wife, being a husband, being a father, being a pastor, being whatever. Like, without Christ, honestly, I don't know how we would do any of this. In fact, he says that apart from me, you can do nothing. So we need the gospel constantly to reorient us in these things. Let's go to the next question. Y'all kind of talked about the question about deferring to your husband's leadership. Did y'all want to say anything else about whether it's been difficult or not deferring to husband's leadership? Y'all already talked about that a little bit. Any other comments about that?
It's really hard in the beginning, just like Susie said, and it is really hard because I don't have a track record of Bill taking care of me or listening to me. I don't know. And I got to be honest, I get a big F in this, in our early marriage. I did a horrible job of this. I didn't trust him. I didn't trust God. I have huge trust issues, and I just totally failed. Epic failure. Yep.
Thank you for your honesty. And Jesus took your F all the way to the cross, by the way. And now you get to wear his A. Accepted.
Yep.
Thanks for your honesty.
I want to say for any wives listening that are like, that maybe Satan will use this thought on them that, oh, well, Susie, you're married to a pastor, like submitting to that, so easy. He's godly, just listen to him preach. It's like the glory of God is there, and just because I know that men, especially in ministry, sometimes we look at them and put them on a pedestal, or if someone might think because of his position or whatever, it must be a lot easier because he doesn't have the same failures as your husband. But he does, because he's a human being. And I can tell you, I think I tell everyone that the first 3 years of our marriage were really terrible. And then it wasn't till you're 5 or 7 or something that I started to kind of see oh, okay, this could actually work, or feel some a lot of relief. Like you said, Karen, felt okay, I can let my guard down a little bit, or whatever. And so don't think that because I'm married to the pastor that somehow he is excluded from whatever your husband does that makes you not want to submit to him, because he's not. And so it's the same kind of struggles.
Couldn't agree more. Seriously. Okay, let's go on to this question. Ladies, how have you and your husband thought through how the home is managed? And by the way, a lot of these questions are flowing out of what I talked about last week. So if you're watching this, go back and watch maybe later what I said last week. So again, ladies, how have you and your husband thought through how the home is managed? What I tried to argue last week from the Bible is that the umbrella of oversight that God has given to wives is the home, whereas the umbrella of oversight God's given to husbands is provision. Those are two general, basic, I think clear biblical principles that will be applied differently, but I think the principles are clear. How have those things worked out in y'all's relationship, in y'all's marriage, in y'all's house? Rachel, you want to jump in there? I hate picking
Yeah.
people. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm just sitting waiting. I, yeah, we haven't really talked about how we thought through how to manage home. But I think we've both kind of come into it and done what we've seen. So like in my family growing up, my mom took care of getting us fed or made sure one of us fed others, or making sure we cleaned the house and did the home type things. And my dad provided for us because my mom was a stay-at-home for most of our life at home. And so I think that's what I came to it as, like I would be the one to do those things, and he would work, and he came into it kind of thinking the same way. He definitely told me before we got married that he was taught to make sure he works so that I would never feel like I need work. So that was kind of how he put out there. But
How'd that make you feel
I
as
think
just dating this guy? How'd that make you feel when he told you that? Was it like a huge relief, or you're like, yeah, duh?
yeah, it was definitely a relief. I enjoy working. My dad had 4 daughters, and he liked for us to work, and so I enjoy working. And so I wasn't like expecting him to say that or wanting that necessarily, but it's very took a weight off my shoulders for especially this time when I decided not to go back to work or taking care of Nashe. And so yeah, it's definitely a relief just know that that was there and I didn't have to worry about it. So yeah, I think we also just really try to serve each other in managing the home. So he does clean a lot. Like he loves a clean house, and so we
Is that
do
while
things a
he's
lot
watching
differently.
Friends? While he's watching
I'm
Friends,
sorry.
he's doing this while he's watching Friends, I assume.
Yes, like he's very multitasking. Yeah, he listens to a lot of stuff while he's cleaning. So if he cleans, at the beginning I struggled with that. I was like, if he's cleaning, that means he wants me to clean, and I'm doing a terrible job. Wife. And we had to kind of get through that. And he was like, no, I'm just cleaning because I want my office to be clean. I want the kitchen clean. So now I'm like, well, if he's cleaning, then I'll just chill and let him clean. So I try to, in the, when Nashe is napping or any other time, try to clean if I have the time to serve him, because I know, if he comes home from work, it'd be really nice to have a house. But I don't now I'm not like must have a clean house because that's not what he wants. And so yeah, I think we just kind of came into it with how we were taught. So
Cool.
that's kind of our.
Thanks for sharing. Susie, Karen?
Susie?
I want to hear your secrets first, Karen, with 6 kids, how did, and all of that.
Okay, well, my secret is really no secret at all. I try to clean as the mess is made. I tried to clean it up. So here were the rules that I had. Okay, it's your choice, Karen. Mop or broom? What is it gonna be? Second thing, so is this gonna make a difference in 5 or 10 years? Okay, that was the next question I answered. And then the third one was, so I didn't get overwhelmed. I just thought, well, do what comes next. You know, I couldn't really think about too far down even throughout the day, just what comes next. Oh, change the diaper. Okay, change the diaper and clean up after yourself. I think that helped me the most was just, you know, when they took a bath, get all the toys in oh, I see her. Yeah, when they took a bath, get all the toys and put them in the bag. Just clean up after yourself while you're there. That's kind of what helped me. And they are kids and they will make messes. And it's okay. You know, I'm a neat freak and God really hammered this out of me with the kids. That's all I have to say. Going into it, I was a perfectionist and a neat freak, and coming out of it, I'll say I'm not a neat freak so much. I still like it clean, but there's clutter everywhere, but it's organized. So, and I'm a recovering perfectionist. So that was really hard on me just because my personality was bent I grew up in an immaculate home. I mean, it was like a museum. And it was really a tough challenge for me. Yeah.
I'm the neat freak in our house, and you're right, kids kind of blows all that up.
Oh, it blows it up big time.
You have
Yep.
to it's like you have to decide, am I going to survive today, you know, or am I going to kill myself cleaning up all this stuff?
Yeah. And the other question I said, what's more important, a neat house or kids that are being kids and, you know, doing the messy art projects and getting that experience? What's more important, your relationship with your kids and their development, or a clean house and your feeling of being a good mom?
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good word.
and the definition of what a good mom is.
That's a good word.
My definition changed over the years.
I think this is just me pontificating, but in our culture, image is everything, right? So we want to craft an image for the world to see. Another word for that is idolatry, right? Creating an image to set up kind of for worship. And it happens in all these really small ways, like our houses, like Susie was mentioning, man, you know, we got to have the house all clean because people are coming over. Everything has to be perfect. Some of that stuff is just idolatry we need to lay down. I love what you said too, Karen, about, you know, whatever mess is there, that's step one. Just last night, Susie and I had fun picking up spaghetti noodles all over the living room that Gideon had decided to just dump out an entire box of noodles and break them up. And so I actually didn't want to deal with it, which is kind of weird because I'm the neat freak. And Susie was like, no, we need to do this. And so we did. We cleaned it up with Gideon's help. Susie, I'll let you jump in, babe. Just say what you...
It was a safety issue because I was like, Lydia's going to swallow one of these pieces and it's going to get lodged or something.
That's where I'm like, no big deal. Susie's
it's not going to happen. I'm like, and if it does, no. And I wasn't feeling well, but yeah, we made it happen. I think, mess is one of the things you have to learn to live with some of that. It'll be funny because sometimes I'm so busy that I won't clean off. And I try to teach the kids to do some of this, but sometimes there's like Lydia's plate and stuff. I don't always get breakfast cleared. And I'm like, oh, I got to go make lunch, you know, and we're late and the kids are hungry. And like, I walk to the table and there's like breakfast there and I'm like, it's not a big deal. Like, like, why can't there be someone just following me around or following the kids around, just cleaning everything up? That'd be the life. But I think as far as like, how do we manage those things, provision and the household? I think each person shares responsibility in both, but there's kind of a head of each. So like the ultimate responsibility falls on John for provision, right? So if we can't pay our bills, he can't turn to me and be like, why aren't you doing, whatever. But I help him by, when we budget together and, not going on a crazy spending spree or something and blowing our money, just being smart with our finances. And I like to make, extra money because then we can achieve our financial goals faster. But I have this other responsibility over the household, namely the kids, that, is higher up than my desire to make extra money to help. And so with the household, that's primarily me knowing what the kids, really need and their schedules and things, because that's my expertise, right? John cannot have the same level of expertise as me, who lives and stays with them, 12 hours a day, every day. And John can't see them that much. I can't expect him to have the same level of knowledge and skill as I do. But that doesn't mean he doesn't help. You know what I mean? And I don't kind of help him help. Right. So giving him a little bit of information and saying, hey, like, can you feed Lydia this? And, she likes to eat that or whatever, or cut it up for her before you give it to her. Because I think early on, like when we had Elisha, I would get frustrated because I felt like John should just know what I know. And why didn't he? And why was it up to me to like know everything? But, I was with him all the time and I had a lot more practice than John did.
Well, and if I could just jump in, and slight rabbit trail.
You can't. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
That's also because God designed femininity. He gave the female things he didn't give the male. Like, this is why he said Eve should be called Eve, which means the mother of all living, before she had any children. Because part of what it means to be a woman is to know how to do all that stuff. Not that you have like, all the knowledge, not that you're some book expert or something, but that you just have an intuition and a wiring and a desire and an ability that a man doesn't usually generally have. Not that he can't do any number of things, but there's something unique, God-given about being a female, which is related to mothering. And you don't even have to have kids or kids at home. This is why I love some of the sweet, dear ladies in our church. If you're listening, I love how you've mothered me, honestly. Rose Kimball, if you're listening, Linda Houston, Marie Cooper. If you're listening in, the ways you just mother our congregation. And I think that's because God wired you that way. It has nothing to do whether you have kids or not, kids at home or not. It's just who you are as a female. And it's a beautiful, glorious thing that I think we should celebrate more than, frankly, our culture doesn't want to celebrate that. But it's a beautiful thing. The end. Sorry, Susie. You were saying?
No, I mean, I know that's not true for all women. I know some women struggle with that, feeling
Sure.
like they don't know and they don't,
Sure.
have that intuition, or feel unsure of themselves. But I think, it's just like we are, like just even our bodies are born to nurture our children, whether they're growing in our womb or nursing at our breasts. Like, God literally has built us to nourish and take care of our children. in a way that men literally can't. And with that, there is a special relationship there, and just a privilege, honestly, because I feel special that I get to play that part in my kids' lives and have that connection with them. So.
All right. Are y'all ready to land the plane with one final question? The question is, and I did this with the husbands a couple weeks ago, what is something specific you want to say to encourage your husband? And I'm basing this on Ephesians 5:33, which says, let the wife see that she respects her husband. So that's a big, overarching statement. But I think one of the ways, as I talked about last week, wives do this is just encouraging, right? Just literally telling your husband he's doing a good job. Even if the job he's doing isn't as good as it could be, like just encouraging, affirming him. So you probably do that at home a lot, maybe within your circles, but now you can do that publicly. I just want to give you an opportunity to do that publicly. And this sounds self-serving, so Susie, if you don't want to answer because it would be weird because I'm kind of the one asking the question, I get that. But Karen, you want to go first? Something specific you want to say to encourage your husband, Bill? You still with us, Karen? Maybe she was having internet issues. She might come back later. You're muted, by the way, Karen, in case you lost your picture, but not your audio. Rachel, would you like to go?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay.
Let's see. An encouragement for Tanaka. I love watching him talk to people. He's very good at listening and encouraging. He's a very big encourager to people who have dreams that maybe are they aren't sure about, whatever. He loves to encourage them. He's very encouraging as well. And I'm super thankful for that. It's a good, I like to be able to learn from him so I can encourage other people. And he also just works really, really hard. He's working 2 jobs and to take care of us, and he still manages to make them for us. So yeah, he's just really great.
And he gave you the afternoon to do this. He's hanging with Nashe right now.
Yeah.
What a cool dude.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
You found a good one. Karen, welcome back. Can you hear us? You're on mute, by the way. I'll let Karen or Susie go next, whoever would like to.
I'm sorry, I've had technical difficulties. So I lost, once the Amber Alert came across my phone, I lost all audio. So I'm not sure where we are.
That's okay. Oh, no worries. Last question. Just a specific way you'd like to encourage your husband, Bill. Just something you'd like to say for the world to hear.
Oh, I'm so
your
glad
husband.
I didn't want to miss this one. Okay. So I thought about this a lot and I wrote out something, so I'm just going to read it.
Yeah.
So I want to say to Bill that I respect your position, your power, your place, and your manhood. I honor and affirm your leadership, and my desire is to help carry it through according to the gifts that are in me. Thank you for choosing me to make this journey of life with you.
That's awesome. That's special. Thanks for sharing that. All right. Susanna, you can pass if you want.
No, I just have to,
Just make something up.
I have to match your affirmations. Is that of me from the husband's panel?
I don't remember what
really
I said,
good.
but it was probably really good.
It was really good. One of John's gifts are words of affirmation, and one of my weaknesses are words of affirmation. I think what I want to say is, I remember such a vivid memory when we got married and John went and mowed lawns for like 2 years, a year and a half, because we thought it was a good idea for us not to start our marriage in ministry. And that just really impressed me about him, because it showed me that I have a husband who is going to do whatever, no matter how uncomfortable, to take care of me. And here's this guy with a seminary degree who wasn't too proud to mow lawns in Texas. In 2 summers in Texas, he would come back so filthy and so tired, and he did not complain about it.
I actually enjoyed it.
Huh?
I actually enjoyed it. I love being outside.
Yeah, but it's hard, and eating lunch under a tree and all that stuff. It was just the whole gamut. And I've appreciated that about him, because it plays out in so many ways, that you are willing to and committed to fighting for our family, fighting for our marriage, not giving up, that you're not scared to do the hard things. You're not scared to do the uncomfortable things, the scary things, whatever it is. If it's for the good of our marriage or our family, you are willing to do that. And not to mention that, your desire and love for the Lord on top of that, right? Because you're ultimately doing it to honor him and keep your vow to him. But I think that, above all your other great character attributes, that's one of my favorite, because I know that if the going gets tough or the tough gets going, John's not going to let that come between us or hurt our family or anything like that. Like he, if whatever happens, he's going to be out there working for me and our family to take care of us and love us well and lead us well. And that just, it helps me sleep at night. So, I'm very thankful for that.
Thanks, babe.
That East Texas flavor you have. So
there is a flavor known as East Texas. It's a good flavor. Thanks so much, guys, for doing this. Again, thanks for taking the time out of your day and doing this, and thanks for putting yourself out there and just being honest and vulnerable. And I know that ladies, wives, and wives-to-be who watch this will be encouraged and helped by your words. And so may God increase your number, and may he bless your marriages, your homes, and thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was fun. Thanks.
All right. See y'all later.
Bye.